Why doesn't Daddy have a special friend like other daddies do? 4-year-old Bryn Ashford asked the question so innocently, her small fingers tracing the edges of a photograph, her mother, radiant and laughing, frozen in a moment 3 years past. The nanny, Mrs. Parker, exchanged a pained glance with Lennox Ashford, who stood in the doorway of his daughter's room, briefcase still in hand. He'd heard the question, and it shattered something inside him he'd been carefully holding together. That night, after Bryn finally slept, Lennox sat in his study staring at his phone. The company holiday party was in 2 weeks. His business partner had been hinting, not so subtly, that showing up alone again would fuel rumors that he was struggling, that his grief was affecting his leadership. In the cutthroat world of tech, perception was everything. He opened his laptop and typed words he never imagined he'd search: professional date services. The agency was discreet, upscale, specializing in companionship for business events. He felt hollow scrolling through profiles of polished women who smiled professionally at cameras. Then he saw her, Thea Marlowe, 28, aspiring actress taking side work to pay bills. But it wasn't her credentials that made his breath catch. It was her face, the soft curve of her smile, the warmth in her eyes that the camera couldn't quite diminish. She looked nothing like his late wife, yet something in her expression reminded him of Celia's kindness, the gentleness that had first drawn him to her. He booked her before he could overthink it. Lennox was 34, CEO of a software company he'd built with Celia from their garage 7 years ago. They'd been partners in everything: business, love, parenthood. When Bryn was born, Celia had insisted on scaling back, spending mornings with their daughter while managing operations remotely in the afternoons. Then came the aneurysm. Sudden, catastrophic, while Celia was reading Bryn a bedtime story. One moment she was there, the next she wasn't. Lennox found them, Bryn crying, confused, curled against her mother's still form, asking why Mommy wouldn't wake up. 3 years later, Lennox still woke up reaching for her, and Bryn still asked questions that had no good answers. The morning of the party, Thea Marlowe stood outside Lennox's downtown home, smoothing her rented cocktail dress and trying to calm her racing heart. She'd done these gigs before. Smile, make small talk, leave. Simple, professional. She needed the money desperately. Her mother's cancer treatments had drained everything, and the acting roles weren't coming fast enough. But when Lennox opened the door, something shifted. He looked exhausted, yes, but beneath the expensive suit was a man barely holding himself together. She recognized that look. She wore it herself most days. "Mr. Ashford, I'm Thea." "Thank you for coming," he said quietly. "I know this is unconventional. Before we go, I need to be honest with you about something." He led her inside, where Bryn sat on the stairs, watching with enormous eyes. "My daughter," Lennox explained, his voice tight with emotion, "has been asking about why I don't have someone. The party tonight, my business partners will be there with their families. I thought having someone with me would ease the pressure, but now I realize how selfish that sounds. I'm using you as a shield, and that's not fair." Thea looked at the little girl, at the photograph she clutched, a beautiful woman with laughing eyes. The caption read, "Mommy and me." "She passed away?" Thea asked gently. 3 years ago. Suddenly. Bryn barely remembers her, but she knows everyone else has a mother and she doesn't. She asks if it's her fault, if she did something wrong. His voice cracked. "I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to be enough for her." Thea knelt down to Bryn's level. "Hi, sweetheart. I'm Thea. Can I tell you something?" Bryn nodded, shy. "I used to think maybe I wasn't good enough, that maybe if I'd been better, he would have stayed. But you know what my mama told me? She said some people leave not because we're not enough, but because they can't stay. And that's not our fault. Your mama didn't want to leave you, did she?" Bryn shook her head, tears welling. Then it's not your fault, sweet girl. And your daddy? He loves you so much, he's trying really hard to make you happy. That's what parents do. Bryn climbed off the stairs and wrapped her small arms around Thea's neck, and Thea, who'd come here to play a role, found herself holding this child like she meant it. At the party, something unexpected happened. Thea wasn't performing anymore. She asked Lennox real questions about Celia, about how he survived grief, about what Bryn loved. And Lennox, who had been numb for 3 years, found himself talking, really talking. She used to hum when she cooked, silly songs, made-up lyrics. Bryn does that now sometimes, and I have to leave the room because I can't breathe. I see Celia in every gesture, every smile. And I'm terrified Bryn will grow up and I'll have failed to preserve her mother's memory, failed to be what she needs. You're showing up, Thea said softly. That's what matters. My mom, she's been fighting cancer for 2 years, stage 4. She's not going to win. And every day I wake up and choose to be present, even when it hurts, even when I want to run. Because love isn't about being perfect. It's about staying. Lennox looked at her then, really looked, and saw past the surface, saw a woman who understood loss, who carried her own grief with grace, who knelt down to comfort a stranger's child because it was the right thing to do. Why are you doing this? This job? You're not like the others who do this. Thea's eyes filled with tears. Because my mom's treatment costs $3,000 a week. Because I haven't booked a paying acting role in 8 months. Because I'm drowning in debt and too proud to ask for help. Because sometimes survival means doing things that make you feel small. You're not small, Lennox said firmly. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. Over the next month, Lennox hired Thea again and again, but not for parties, for Bryn. To spend afternoons teaching her to paint, to braid her hair, to answer questions about mothers and loss with honesty that didn't destroy hope. He paid her well, more than the agency rate, deposited anonymously for her mother's care. And Thea, who came as a hired actress, found herself falling, not for Lennox's money or status, but for the way he read Bryn bedtime stories with different voices, the way he remembered Celia without drowning in grief, the way he saw Thea's humanity when she had forgotten it herself. One evening, Bryn asked the question that changed everything. "Daddy, can Thea stay forever?" Lennox and Thea looked at each other across the dinner table, the pretense stripped away. "I don't know how this works. I don't know how to let someone in again without betraying Celia's memory, but you make Bryn laugh. You make me remember what hope feels like. And I think Celia would want that for us. I'm not trying to replace her. I could never." "I know. That's why this works. You honor her by being yourself, by showing up, by staying." They didn't marry, didn't rush into labels or promises they weren't ready to make, but Thea moved into the guest room, kept showing up, kept loving Bryn without conditions, and Lennox learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means making room for new love alongside old memories. 6 months later, Bryn asked Thea, "Are you my forever friend?" "As long as you want me here, sweet girl," Thea promised, pulling her close. "As long as you want me." "Forever then," Bryn said simply. "That's how long I want." And Lennox, watching them, understood that love isn't about perfection or timing. It's about broken people choosing each other, about hired pretense becoming genuine connection, about a little girl's question opening a door everyone was too afraid to walk through. Sometimes the people we need come dressed as something else, an actress playing a role, a business arrangement, a temporary solution. But if we're brave enough to see past the surface, we find they were never really pretending at all. They were just waiting for permission to stay.